Islam. No one of you is a believer until he desires for his brother that which he desires for himself.
Judaism. You should not take vengeance or bear a grudge against your kinsfolk. Love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord.
Shintoism. Be charitable to all beings. Love is the representative of God.
Sikhism. I am a stranger to no one, and no one is a stranger to me. Indeed, I am a friend to all.
Christianity.
Therefore, all things whoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them, for this is the law and the prophets.
Taoism. Regard your neighbor's gains your own gain, and regard your neighbor's loss as your own loss.
Native spiritual traditions, the Squamish tribe. Humankind had not woven the web of life. We are but one thread within it. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves.
Buddhism. Hurt not others with that which pains yourself.
Baha'i faith. Lay not on any soul a load that you would not wish to be laid upon you, and desire not for anyone the things you would not desire for yourself.
Unitarianism. We affirm and promote respect for the independent web of all existence of which we are part.
Hi everyone. I want to talk with you today about an idea that I think is central for us all as good citizens and as faithful people: empathy. So here's what I want to ask you to consider. What would it mean for you to practice empathy today? I want to suggest that practicing empathy means that you get to connect with others in a way that's meaningful and powerful for you both. Because here in a world where all of a sudden, when you can't tell if someone has a smile or a smirk, where you can't read a facial expression and see joy or pain, it's getting kind of hard to know how to engage others. Empathy is a way of giving to one another the gift of understanding, and then acting toward that person in a way that shows your understanding. And I know that sounds all kind of cold and clinical. So perhaps here's a story that's a bit vulnerable, but it's a story about empathy. When I was in the 5th grade, I had this crazy crush on a girl named Carmen. She told me she just wanted to be friends, and that was fine with me as long as we could sort of make progress. You know, in my young, vivid imagination, I saw that she would eventually fall in love with me, and we would date for 15 years or so, and then get married and have lots of kids. She had long blonde hair that flew out away from her head in this beautiful way in the breeze on the playground, and she, to me, seemed to defy gravity. She didn't walk, she floated. She didn't speak, she sang. She was a vision who inspired visions, at least for me. So one day I simply decided I had to let her know about how I felt about her. And when I was young, I was this practical kind of kid, so I devised this relatively simple note, which I had planned to deliver quite carefully to her. No poetry, no romance. It was just rather this unpolished little questionnaire. So in block letters at the top of it, I had written, "Do you love me?" And then underneath there were 2 boxes. You guessed it, one was marked yes and the other no. Years later, I now know and can admit that there was no box marked for her to just say, "I just want to be friends." I didn't particularly find that possibility inspiring. So I had everything figured out except how to pass this note to her without getting caught. And of course, as you can guess, the teacher intercepted the note. And she walked to the front of the class with the note in her hand and said, right in front of the class, "Vaughn, shall I read this note to the class?" I remember thinking that day that time itself stood still. And I felt the blood rise in my throat. And I felt dizzy. And my ears were hot. And I could feel the eyes of everyone in the class on me, which when you're a kid feels like enormous wait. Please, I said, don't read it. But she did. She unfolded it and slowly and deliberately read it to the class. And of course they laughed. Everyone laughed. And the sound of my friends laughing at me was the worst thing I could imagine at that age. I couldn't bring myself to look at Carmen or anyone else for that matter, but I remember thinking that even if she checked the box no, that would be preferable to the position I was in that moment. It was just after class and everybody was getting ready to leave when it happened. Empathy. Because Carmen walked up to me as I was sitting there in my misery, and she knelt beside me and she put her arms around me and she said to me in that moment, I'm still your friend. It was in that moment that I received exactly the compassion that I needed. A friend. An empathetic friend. Empathy is a kind of compassion that allows us to understand that someone else is going through a period of pain or struggle, and to feel their pain or struggle, and then to do something that shows our understanding. You don't have to fully understand what they feel, just that they feel. You don't have to experience their emotion, just understand that they have those emotions, and then show your care for them. Empathy is probably one of the greatest skills we as people ever learn. It's essential to what it means to be a good citizen, and it is certainly part of what it means to be a person of faith. There are many ways to practice empathy, but central to them all, I think, is staying connected to your community, being aware of others, and simply being kind to them and to yourself. If you're interested in practices that build empathy, let us know in the Office of Spiritual Life, and perhaps we can help foster your empathetic imagination. I hope you'll try it on as a practice. I think it will be beneficial to us all. Peace to you all. Take care.